Hello. Happy Thursday. Um, Friday Junior, as I like to call it. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your day to get some quick leadership tips, right? This is our 15-minute check in where I offer you some tips based on topics that either folks have asked me directly about or things that I've seen kind of bubbling up as topics worth addressing. So today we are going to focus on this whole end of the year. Y'all, can you believe we are almost at the end of this 2022? I really feel like we just rang in 2022, but here we are. So I thought that I would give you some tips that as a leader, as you start to think about how to close out the year and how to do it with some grace, I thought I would offer you 5 tips to help you to successfully end the year, at least a little more stress free. Awesome. So here's the first one. The first one is to assess your workload, right? Where are you right now? Take stock, look around, look at what deliverables are still pending, what things on your to-do list still need to be done. But when I say assess, I mean you have a real critical look. Like, does this really need to be done in the next, call it 5 business days? Because let's be real, like I want to encourage you all to not work hard through, 12/31, right? I'd want you to take some kind of break. So that means that within the next, call it 5 business days, what absolutely needs to be done? Prioritize what is left in your workload that you feel like has to be done before this new year rings in, and be really honest with yourself. There are things you probably would love to get done. Me too. But there are things that I'm like, okay, this has to get to this person, or this has to go live. The other things can probably push until January because while they are important, they're not critical, right? They're not urgent. And I think at this point in the year, we're 12/15. I want you to focus on things that are urgent and critical, not things that are just important. And yes, I can see how you might be like, but I want to work on those too. Yeah, but I want you to be a little more stress free as you close out this year. And so trying to get everything on your to do list is not realistic. So instead, I want you to prioritize and work on those, like, let's call it top 3 must do's before the year closes out. So that's the first one. Assess that workload. The second one is check on your people. Connect with your staff, right? And see how are they doing. Have them assess their workload, right? Like what we just talked about for you. But also checking with them on how they're feeling. What are their concerns about closing out the year? Talk about some, more lighthearted stuff. What are your plans to close out the year? Check in on them. Oftentimes, people are super stressed at the end of the year because they're trying to do all the things. They're trying to close out to-do lists. They're also trying to do a lot of personal stuff. There might be some traveling going on. And this is also a time when people get sick a lot because of weather changes and different viruses that are going around. So this is a really important time as a leader that you can show up empathetic, um, and concerned about the whole person by checking on your team, not just about, hey, did you get this done? Did you call John? Did you, follow up on this? But also, hey, what are your plans to close out the year? How are you feeling about your workload? How's everyone in your household feeling? Everybody healthy? Try to kind of check on the whole person as you connect with folks, because that's gonna help them see you as someone that is more than just about the task and the transactional aspects of their role. Okay. So that second one is to connect with your team. It's also a cool time to have some kind of end of the year gathering, little toast to a successful year, things like that is also a really nice time to throw that in if you can. Again, if it's going to be another thing on your to-do list that's going to stress you out, make that a kickoff of the New Year celebration instead. Okay. The third thing I often do, and I really take some time to do this. I like to reflect on the year that's passed. So I like to go back and look at some of the goals I set and see how I did. I will reflect on what new clients did I bring on board? What impact did I make? How did that project go? Where did things go differently than I had anticipated? So I really spent some time reflecting on the year because it helps me to see, well, how realistic were the goals that I set? how should I think about setting next year's goals? And also, it just gives me a chance to just take stock and sit back and be like, okay, okay, you did that. Oh, you met that goal. Or, okay, you need to spend a little more time in this area, or whatever the case is. So I really believe um, in the value of looking back and really seeing how far you've come in the year. So please, please, please take some time to reflect on the year that is ending. Okay, fourth one, start to set some new goals. I love that part of my year. And you see it if you're on social media. You see people having vision parties and all kinds of things. Whatever is the way you like to do it, you do it. But the intention of setting goals, of calling in, this is what I intend to do this year. Even as a leader, often setting goals becomes kind of this mundane task of like part of the performance management process, right? And so everyone's like, oh, here comes goal setting season. I'm not talking about that kind of goal setting. I'm talking about you as a leader sitting back and saying, what are some things I want to accomplish this year personally, as a leader of this entity, maybe even personally, just allowing yourself to dream big and to think about where do you want to go and what are some things that you want to say that you had accomplished by the end of 2023. Because trust me, as soon as we blink, we're going to be like, and here, look, it's the end of 2023, right? So now is a really cool time for you to just take some time to breathe in and to call in what things you want to see happen in 2023. I take that work very seriously. I have a notebook that I write, you know, how many new clients would I love to engage with? How many travel um, experiences do I want to have? How many trips do I want to take with my family? I really do like kind of segment it out. And then every other year I do a vision board. I used to do it every year, but I'm so particular about my vision boards that it takes forever to find magazine pictures because I like to do old school and like really have that tactile experience. So I've gone to every other year, and it's such an important moment for me because it almost feels like I am having a physical kind of prayer, like, you know what I'm saying, where I'm like calling in something. And it's a very meditative process for me. So I enjoy doing it that way. But every year at the start of the year, or no, I'm sorry, at the end of the year, I sit with my notebook, my remarkable, and I write, here's where I've been, here's how many clients I had, here's how many projects I did, here are new companies that I've worked with, and here's how many I want to kind of retain and do more work with. Here are some areas where I want to try something new. I do all of that, y'all. I'm not just saying it to be saying it. And it really helps me to be able to check in with myself throughout the year. How am I moving toward that goal? So I highly recommend that you set new goals as you close out this year and in preparation for next year. And then that last one, if you know me, you know what this last one's gonna be. Y'all, I want y'all to celebrate. Do not let 2022 end without you celebrating, giving you a little pat on the back, flip hair, whatever it is that you do. But take some time to celebrate all that you've accomplished, all that you've weathered, all that you've done, all of the challenges that you've pushed through. Celebrate failures. Celebrate, whoa, why did I think that was a good idea? Celebrate it all because at the end of the day, you're still standing. And I always talk to when I'm coaching someone, I always talk to people and say, if you only celebrate the big things, you miss out on really understanding the value of the small. And so celebrate it all, y'all. Take some time. I am going to do a little celebrating. Please understand. That's why that last week I'm off. I celebrate. I go and meet up with my girlfriends and we do a little celebration around like personal accomplishments. My husband and I will toast it up. I mean, and then certainly for my business, I absolutely celebrate and do some little things. I'll buy myself a little trinket just to say, like, look at you. You have manifested so much. You have helped so many people. You've gotten such thoughtful thank you notes about the impact you've made. And that's what you want to do. So celebrate that. Be proud of yourself, Latoya. And so I do. And so I'd be crazy not to add that as one of the 5 tips, because if you don't leave 2022 acknowledging and saying, I made it and I made an impact, shame on you. So toast it up, whatever toast it up looks like for you. Make sure that you celebrate yourself and your accomplishments and your failures, because you learn something through that as well. So those are the 5 tips, y'all. Assessing your workload, connecting with your staff, reflecting on the year that has passed, setting some goals for your new year, and celebrating it all. So I did that in 10 minutes, which means that we have 5 minutes for any questions that you all may have. If this was helpful, if there's something that you'd want to dig deeper into that I don't get to within these the couple of minutes that I have, please feel free to connect with me. My website is here, and there is an opportunity for you to click on a link in there and set up time to connect. I won't be around again that last week of December, but certainly before then or in the new year, I'd love to chat with you about how you can do some of these things and make them a steady practice for yourself. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the first question that came in was around team holiday parties. What are some of my thoughts on that? And gift giving. So here's what I'd say about team holiday parties. I would say to first check in with your team to see where they are with that, right? If are there any objections or any concerns about a team holiday party? And I would really, if there are none, I would really try to be as inclusive as possible in using the term holiday, right? For me, I will say, and from when I've led large teams, I've not made them Christmas parties. I've not done anything like that. I've just made them end of the year parties. And we can do a gift giving as a moment of appreciation for one another. Not necessarily, here's your, Secret Santa gift and all that. I just try to keep it a bit more general in order to acknowledge the diversity that was on my team. I had such wide range of folks and what they celebrated on my team that I did not want to do this in this moment of a season of a holiday that I personally might celebrate when I didn't do it for others. That was my the way I handled that. But what I would say now as a coach, just check in with people and ask them, like, does anybody have any concerns with us doing a holiday party? Now, here's the caveat though. If you don't feel like you have you've created an environment where people really feel safe to say, I got a problem with that. I don't really feel comfortable with that. Then I wouldn't ask, because basically you asking people, but the person or the people who aren't comfortable responding, rejecting that, they're not going to speak up anyway. So they're going to be sitting in a party that's uncomfortable. So your team well. You know the type of environment you've created. Do they normally push back on topics? Is this a group that has healthy conflict? If so, I would say, yeah, go out and ask them about a holiday party. If everybody just yeses you all the time and there's no like debate, don't ask, because you haven't built a fully psychologically safe team yet. So they're gonna just say yes to you anyway. So for that kind of environment, I would say just throw an end of the year party, give gifts of appreciation, and keep it moving. Okay, think we have time for one more question. And I see one coming here. Between your end of the year work, prepping for the holidays, and managing your household, you kind of feel like it's impossible to take time to have a break. Any advice? Absolutely. It feels impossible. I live that. My advice is to take one anyway. I would say again, go back to my first thing, assess your workload and then prioritize what is absolutely critical and urgent to do, not important, not useful, whatever. The thing about us, particularly women, is that we feel like we have to do all the things on the checklist right now. And I'm saying that at the end of this year, pick the top 3. And then number 4 is for you to take a break. That's your 4th one. Because if you try to do all 10, you're right, you'll never get to take a break. But if you try to do those top 3 and then go and take you a break, it will give you the rejuvenation, the reset that you will need to do the other things well in the future. So please, I implore you to take that break anyway. Listen, it'll be there when you get back, but go somewhere in Wusa because it's gonna rejuvenate you and refuel you for the next year. All right. Looks like I answered the questions that came up. Y'all, it has been a great year. This is our last LinkedIn live for this year. I hope you found them helpful. Please comment and let us know not only what you think of these 15 minutes, but what topics you might want to hear. We're so grateful for this community and to continue to offer you some quick tips that'll help you in your leadership journey. If you want to talk more, there's my website. I'd love to get to know you in our new year coming. But in the meantime, have a wonderful end of the year, and we'll see you on the other side. Bye.